Wow, it's good to be back for the second visit.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to see you.
We've got Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un. We've got the Cohen hearings in Congress. A lot of energy going on.
A lot of things are happening.
Planets are aligned.
We should tell everybody that you and I had, well, first of all, we had a long conversation on the phone, which led to just a lot of talking.
You were driving
things.
to Vegas a few weeks ago. We talked like an hour and a half.
And then we decided to do another podcast. And we cleared the air on the phone. We decided to clear the air more on a podcast. There's a lot of things going on. I told you a long time ago that I would have you back on. And in the interest of being completely honest, I was hesitant to do it, not because I didn't want to talk to you, but because of just the amount of bullshit that I get from people that get angry that you and I are friends. You know, that why give that guy a platform? That's the big one. Why give that guy a platform? That's the big one. You know, but you and I have always had a good time together. We've always had fun together. Our only problems have always been when we're not, like if you're talking about me or if I'm talking about you, not if we're talking to each other. It's the distance has been the problem.
It's the telephone game.
Lack of communication. The lack of communication has been the problem. The thing that people are upset about you, the thing that we wanted to talk about, like quick to get it over with, or not quick, but just to get it
up front.
Up front. That's the best way to
or
put it.
Or to be misrepresented.
Yes. Is the Sandy Hook stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So your take on it, just give me your take on it.
Well, first off, because it's always misrepresented, I believe mass shootings happen and they're real tragedies. And I believe Parkland happened.
And you believe Sandy Hook happened?
Absolutely. And now, just last year, the media came out and said Alex Jones says Parkland didn't happen, and he's sending people to Parkland parents' houses. And there was no video, no audio. It wasn't true. In fact, I said I believe Parkland happened. So I'm not going to be the mass shooting denial guy. I have been branded as the Sandy Hook guy. I mean, imagine a Final Cut Pro video editing timeline. And you go back almost, it was 7 years ago. I guess it's more than 7 years now. And the internet didn't believe some of the things about Sandy Hook. I started covering it weeks after. My first articles and things are, oh, this will be used for gun control, and I bet the guy's on Prozac and a mental patient, which he was.
Of course.
But then about a couple of weeks into it, my listeners and others start sending me all these anomalies and things, and later it turned out some of those anomalies weren't accurate. And then I just moved on from it, okay? I mean, I'm not Adam Lanza. I didn't kill those kids. But when I'm on the streets now, people don't know who Adam Lanza is, the guy that killed those kids. They think it's me. They say, I can't believe you're not in prison for what you did to Sandy Hook. All they know is Alex Jones, Sandy Hook, dead kids. So,
well, I don't think that's, I think the majority of them are angry because the narrative has been that you're sending people to these Sandy Hook families' homes.
Exactly. And I'm not, and I never have.
That you're responsible for these people getting harassed because you said on your radio show that it wasn't real.
Yes, there is video and audio of me saying I can see how people don't think it happened, and I can see how people think it's synthetic because there's been staged events before. That then gets edited, put together, cobbled together. But I never said go to people's houses. I never said go investigate
these families. Did you ever say that you think it's not real?
Yes, I did.
But now you do think it's real.
Because I learned some of the anomalies were not accurate.
That's a problem with all this conspiracy shit, right? Because the conspiracy theory stuff, the people that want to believe, they believe in conspiracies with everything. And I think there's a certain percent, and we talked about this just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, when I started getting accused 4 years ago, a couple of years into it, when I said, no, I think it happened, then people that I had interviewed and things started saying, he's involved, he's one of them.
Because you are now saying that it happened, they thought that you'd been compromised.
Yes, and then I was realizing,
this is how it works.
A certain percentage of people are schizophrenic.
Exactly.
And then they just think everything's a conspiracy.
Well, this is the thing about conspiracies. It's very attractive to people that are schizophrenic. Schizophrenic people think everything's a fucking conspiracy from top to bottom. Every single interaction that people have is some sort of a stage event that's trying to take them down or control this or mind control that. That's a big factor in a lot of this conspiracy theory shit is mental illness.
When I started having people come to the office saying that I'm Bo Bridges or that I'm Jeff Bridges or that I am
you're Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks, and people in restaurants screaming, F you, Bill, we know it's you. It's kind of like Dan Rowder, the guy threatening me. What's the signal, Dan? What's the signal? What I've experienced now, the quote fame of being super famous, being the conspiracy guy. I was legitimately questioning things because of Gulf of Tonkin, Northwoods, things that really happened, babies that weren't thrown out of incubators to get us in the Iraq War. But I kind of realized a few years ago that I kind of had my own mild mild psychosis, in that when you've been lied to by the media and the culture so much over and over again, everything then starts becoming automatically, you're sure it's fake, and then everything you see fits into that. This is probably, again, 4 or 5 years ago, I began to realize, because I was on the receiving end of people pulling up in white vans with guns at my office saying, I know you put a microchip in my head and I'm going to kill you. And so it was kind of like, once I got super famous, it was like, whoa, there's a certain percentage of people that are way off on the spectrum where they believe everything's fake. And then there's people that believe everything they hear is true. I mean, you should be questioning, you should have the right to do it, but it's somewhere in the middle. And so this is what I'll say about Sandy Hook. I legitimately questioned it when people brought up anomalies. I then had debates about it on both sides. The internet pushed me to keep covering it. I probably covered it 20 times in the first few years it happened. And then as soon as I questioned it, not being staged, I got attacked so much that I said, screw it, mass shootings happen. I believe it happened. But then media would call me or interview me and say, okay, but tell us the anomalies of why you questioned. They were getting me to say it again. Not that I didn't have the right to question it, but they thought, well, Alex Jones versus dead kids, Alex Jones denying it, Alex Jones harassing families. This is a perfect way to get this guy who's so popular and getting people to question and getting people to think. And so it took me years. I think I'm smart. I guess I'm not, to figure out what was going on. So when Hillary, a few months before the election, gives this huge speech that says Alex Jones has a dark heart. He knows Sandy Hook kids died, but he says they didn't, and he sends people to their houses. He's the worst guy in the world. So I came out and I said, listen, I never sent anybody to the houses, but I apologize if it was taken out of context. People have a right to question, but I'm sorry for the families, and I'm sorry for your hurt, and I get it, and I've experienced crazy people now, big time, just like you have. Please stop saying that I'm saying it didn't happen. Please stop saying I'm sending people to people's houses, because here's what happens. When they put it on every major TV channel, local TV channels, radio, I mean, thousands of articles that then get syndicated. If I said 100,000 articles, that's a low number. The amount of Sandy Hook coverage against me has been so insane and so huge, because it's supposed to be the first domino that once I'm taken down, then all the dominoes fall.
Well, it's also clickbait. There's also a thing, if you say Alex Jones, Sandy Hook, and you put in a title, a certain amount of people are just going to click on it. Alex Jones is still pushing a Sandy Hook conspiracy theory, is one that I saw just 2 days ago.
Exactly. So this is the point I've gotten to is, here's the key. They say more people are showing up in Connecticut. More people are coming to their houses, which they are, because the media is all over the news saying there's a big conspiracy here. Alex Jones says it doesn't happen. And so people then hear it and they think, oh, it's like looking for the Mothman or something. They're all running up there and the media is saying it in my name. And I'm saying, no, I believe it happened years ago. And so then I'm getting the blame and the attacks and the demonization and the threats for what the corporate media is saying over and over again, that I'm saying that it didn't happen.
And the families are getting the threats, and the families are getting the attacks, and the families are getting called crisis actors.
Yes.
And then it gets even worse. Did something different?
Oh my God! In hindsight, yeah, absolutely. But again, I legitimately didn't think my show was as powerful as it was, so that I wasn't retrospectively, looking at everything I was doing as much as I should. Nobody's perfect. I mean, as you get older, you grow and you learn things. But I just began to realize about 3 years ago that they're making my identity, not being a nationalist, not being a populist, not being a free market guy. They're making my whole identity Sandy Hook. And I didn't even know they were going to sue me then.
Well, it's just because that's what gets clicks.
Yes, but then before I ever got sued, I said, I believe Sandy Hook happened. This is not my identity. I barely ever covered it. Stop.
Right, but you understand that's not what they're doing. They're not trying to make it.
They took that as weakness and made it even worse.
But they're not trying to make your identity. They're not trying to define you or do some sort of a documentary biography on your life. They're just finding something that people want to pay attention to. This is one of the problems with news coverage today, is that they find things that people want to pay attention to and they focus on them out of proportionate.
I agree. And then they say that I'm making money off Sandy Hook when the newspapers and the publishing houses are using me as a way to put out that incendiary, hurtful thing.
Well,
like,
it's
I didn't
also
mean it to be hurtful. I didn't mean it to be incendiary. I was legitimately questioning, as the internet was, and I've seen a bunch of other state stuff. And then I say, hey, take it back, don't do it. And they go, no, we're going to commit this hurtful thing that's still free speech, but it's hurtful in your freaking name. And that's what I'm not saying I'm the victim here. I'm saying stop it, because everything they do about deplatforming me, the biggest frustration is I still have my huge audience and radio stations and Infowars.com and Newswars.com. But reaching new people is very hard. And then now that I've been silenced, the mainstream media can say whatever they want, Joe. About me, and I can't respond. I mean, you can go to YouTube and type in Alex Jones.
Well, this is where
all of it's the negative stuff, and there's one that says white supremacy and Alex Jones. And you click on it, it's a famous British actor and author saying, Alex Jones says kill the families of Parkland parents. And I actually have lawyers getting ready to file suit over this. I warned the guy. I sent letters. He didn't take it down. I have to. You could pull up this famous British actor. I forget his name. You can pull up, just type in Alex Jones to YouTube. All the mean stuff's put up on top. It's like the 7th, 8th link, and it says Alex Jones and white supremacy. What to do about it? And he says, Alex Jones and the white supremacists are saying go to the people's houses at Parkland and kill the parents. And we have to take him off the air because he says kill the parents. There's no free speech for killing parents. And I'm like, dude, do not say that. I'm going to get killed. I mean, I have never said nobody died at Parkland, and I sure as hell didn't say kill their parents.
Let's
so now,
let's take this step by step.
You talk about fake news. They have green-lighted making anything you can imagine up about me. And it's like insane. And that's all I'm saying is that at a certain point, it's like Jesus.
I get it. Let's take this step by step.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
It's okay. Listen, this is what we want to give you an opportunity to communicate and clear the air and talk, and some of the shit that you and I talked about earlier. There's a bunch of things going on. One, it's a story that attracts people's attention, right? A story of a guy who's saying that people didn't get killed when they did get killed. And it's horrific for people to look at. It's horrific to people to think about, that their own children would not only get murdered, but then someone would accuse them of being a crisis actor. So then they start pushing that story, and that story becomes something that they make money off of, which is really, in some ways, kind of ironic. They keep this story in the news, and they keep getting clicks off of you and misrepresenting some of the things that you've said.
Yes,
but
Joe,
some of the things that you said, you wish you hadn't said.
Absolutely,
too. That's also real.
But I mean, let's be clear. I'm not even defending myself. People learn stuff as you get older. In hindsight, you're like, well, why did I do that? Like, I used to, whatever was the big hot thing on the internet, I would just debate it because it was interesting.
Right, but this is what I wanted to get to. You were doing this show, and in this show, you're on the air hours and hours a day, and you're ranting about all these various things. Is it fair to say that you weren't really 100% aware of what kind of influence you were having?
Absolutely.
And that if you did know, you would have phrased things differently and done things differently.
You know, it's even beyond that. I was just younger, and I was covering what other people were saying. I was not the first, the 10th, the 100th, the 10,000th.
You were reading about it on the internet.
It was a firestorm all over the news that people are denying it. And I've got producers going, hey, look at this video.
But isn't that the problem with every single national tragedy? Anytime something happens, there's a certain amount of people that think that there's a conspiracy. Even when it's just a plane crash, even when it's just, fill in the blanks, any sort of national tragedy.
Exactly. And all I'm saying is, Sandy Hook's not the hill I'm dying on. I support people's right to question, and I understand because there's been so much lying in corporate media and by governments and staged events that are admitted and declassified, that once people see that one thing was staged, then everything else must be staged. And then I have been on the receiving end of literally thousands of made-up conspiracies, which you laugh at until people in a truck with guns show up.